work. Ham radio can be very simple, can be very complicated. We can talk around the neighborhood, we can talk around the world, depending on the equipment. The nice thing about ham radio now is that the barriers that kept people from getting their ham licenses have really all been gotten rid of. Morse code, that was a big one. People didn't want to take the time to learn Morse code. It's really like learning another foreign language. That's no longer a requirement. Still used, but you don't have to know it, and there's lots of communication options. There are a lot of digital modes now in ham radio that allow you to do data, transmit forms, which is very useful with police, fire, and the hospital group that I work with. The other barrier to ham radio was cost. Well, the Chinese have really taken that problem away. They make radios. This radio here is a decent little radio. It's a dual band ham radio. It does VHF, UHF, which are the two most common bands. And it sells for $40 on Amazon. New. And it's a good radio. Not a great radio, but it's a good radio. And what that's done, not only has it made it possible for people to get into it at a low cost, it's driven the price down on the name brand, the higher quality radios, and brought those down into a more reasonable range. So if you want to get your ham license, which I really recommend that everybody does, you can do it as simply as taking a one-day class. I put some flyers out on the table out there. There's a couple named Norm and Naomi Goodkin that are out in Calabasas. Very active hams. All their kids are hams. And they do a one-day class. It's taught at Lost Hills Sheriff Station in Calabasas, or I'm not sure which it is. They do it once a quarter. It costs $50. You go in on Sunday morning, and you get lunch in the middle of the day, and at the end of the day you take your test, and 85 to 90% of the people pass the first time. The folks that don't pass get 2 more opportunities on the following Sundays to study up and take the test again, and most people by the end of that 3-week span have their licenses. You don't have to take the class. You can go online. There's tons of free study aids. You can download manuals, you can buy manuals, and learn it on your own. Both Linda and I studied on our own and got our licenses. But the Norm Goodman class is a great way to do it if you want to go quick and dirty. Obviously, you're going to continue to learn as you go, and you won't learn everything you need to know in the class, but you'll learn enough to pass the test. So I recommend that because you'll be able to communicate over a greater distance, and you'll be the one in your neighborhood that can listen to somebody call for help on GMRS or FRS. And by the way, these radios are a little bizarre because some of the channels don't require a license, and some of the channels do require a license. If you don't bother to get the license, which is just an $85 fee, no test involved, and it's a family license, so if you get licensed, your kids, I think it's cousins, anybody, nieces, I think, can operate under that license. But it's bizarre because if you tune to channel 7 on this radio without a license, you're perfectly fine. If you turn to channel 14, you're violating federal law. So it's really, but there is a sort of a method to the madness because those licensed channels have more power and can get out. You can do things like putting an external antenna. If you're unlicensed, you have to use the fixed antenna that comes with these. So what that allows is somebody like me that's kind of a geek and has my GMRS license, I can put an antenna on my roof with a higher powered radio, and I can listen and talk to all the neighborhoods around the area and kind of amalgamate that information, get on my ham radio, and pass that on to LA City Fire or LAPD or the Medical Alert Center that runs all hospital communications. So there is a method to the madness of that mixed radio, but you've got to be a little careful with that because people go buy it, stick batteries in it, say, oh, channel 14 sounds good. And not that I've heard of anybody getting charged for violating the license in terms of an individual. They do come after businesses because a business owner, his employees are not his family, and even though you can use this for business, you can't use it under one license. Questions?
Would you mind telling me the name, or telling us the name again of the folks who give the course out in Calamari?
It's Norm and Naomi Goodkin, Goodkin. And I did there. I hope there's some flyers still out there. Yeah, Claire is showing me the flyers are still there.
Right.
And they have a class tomorrow. It is full, but they always have some no-shows. So if you want to take the chance of going out there and showing up, good chance you'll get in. And they'll accommodate you if there are enough seats. And it's a slick operation, I'll tell you. They boom, 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 and people learn the stuff. They have a good time, take the test, and at the end of the day, you'll know whether you passed. And within probably a week, you'll have your license from the FCC. Any other questions? All right, by the way, I have a website. I'm not plugging my website, but I have a website, ki6yow.com. That's my call sign. And there's a page on there that has all kinds of resources for learning ham radio on your own, or study guides, and there's a link to Norm's class as well.
Sorry, I was dealing with a too loud iPad, but with the more powerful radios, I guess for personal use, as far as my husband works all the way on the other side of town, like in Culver City, if he were to have one of those and I would have it, would we be able to communicate after an earthquake or no?
Maybe.
Gotcha.
The propagation of signals is very dependent on conditions, weather conditions, all that. Certainly, if the repeaters are working,
right,
you'd be able to communicate with ham radio with him. There are repeaters that would allow you to do that. If the repeaters are down, you might have to get to a high place, he might have to get to a high place because you've got a big dirt block in the way. But we communicate that way sometimes, but I wouldn't rely on that.
Gotcha.
Can I just add to that? I live in Topanga Canyon, and the biggest thing with the radios is you're not going to have television, and you might not have radio access to know where fires or hazards. So the biggest thing with the radios is just to find out what's going around your immediate area, and you might be able to hear what's going around Culver City, so you could rest assured, as opposed to communicating specifically with that person.
Right.
And the other thing is, just because I can't talk to you doesn't mean I can't talk to him who can talk to you.
Right.
So we leapfrog. For welfare, health and welfare, if you want to get a message to people in New Jersey, we might have to go through 2 or 3 people. There's a group called the National Traffic System. Clara and Back is very active with them. They actually do old-fashioned telegrams by ham radio. Call them radiograms, but that's what they are. They've been doing it since the early 1900s, and they practice every week sending routine, hey, your ham license needs to be renewed, welcome to ham radio for new licensees. But they practice that because there was a guy that was talking about what he did in the Northridge quake, and he was not involved in any group, he did this on his own. But he realized that the message is always the same. I'm okay, don't worry about me, we're in a shelter. So rather than taking a specific message, he just said, who are you and who do you want to contact, and give you their contact information. And he got on with a group of people, and they sent out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of welfare messages by ham radio to let their relatives know, I'm okay, I'm in a shelter, I'll get a hold of you as soon as I can. The National Traffic System is an ideal way to do that because it's basically a canned format for messages of 25 words or less, and they can do it with Morse code, they can do it with voice, whatever they need to get it out. And that structure is there right now every day, and they pass messages every day. And so in a disaster, it would be just hit the road running.
Thank you.
So, sure. Anybody else? Yes. Clara and back.
I'll put a plug in too. Our head of the local NPS is Dr. Kate Peck, a seismologist, and she got into it because she really believes that ham radio may be our only way to get messages back and forth. So,
Yeah, Kate is you've all seen her on television. She is the go-to person whenever there's an earthquake, and she's really smart, And she's a very strong believer in ham radio for the very reasons of what she does for a living.
And one of the first things they tell you in preparing for an earthquake is to have an out-of-state or out-of-area contact. So again, you can do that relay system, because again, between Culver City and whatever, you think it's close enough because you drive there every day, but it could be thousands of miles away because there's no bridges, no communication. So get that out-of-state contact.
Now, that's one thing to remember about disaster planning, is you don't know where you'll be. Odds are pretty good you're going to be in bed, because we spend a third of our day in bed. But your odds are equally good you're going to be at work. So you need to have a plan not only for your home, but for your place of work, in your car, because you may be driving. If you drive a lot, the odds are pretty good there. So, and if you have I bought 2 of these. One sits on my desk at work, one sits in my car all the time, and then I have my main radio equipment at home. But because they're $30 or they're $40, I can afford to do that without too much pain. And the other thing about these Chinese radios, the accessories are really cheap. If you buy brand name radios, they kill you on the accessory. Replacement battery, $60. This radio is $30. I bought batteries for this that were 2 for $10. So, and it's decent quality. Anyway, I've rambled on. Anybody else questions? Thank you all.
Thank you, Tom. And it's another topic I would like to eventually to have the next few months, and because everything that we are talking about, it will be a topic on this, and I'm looking forward to work with Tom also for communication. Now we have Bill Hopkins. Bill is did so much. What he did, he put together, but of course with other neighborhood council, for a Valley Disaster Preparedness Fair. And I will let him to talk to you about it, and he's been a guru, very active, and then Bill, talk to us about this.
Yeah, it seems like it's almost an overworked word these days, guru, but it just means you got it way over your head and you don't know what you're doing, but you keep doing it anyway. And feel free to stand up, to stretch, to get some of that blood flowing. Again, we don't want any blood clots in the legs today. We don't have to demonstrate all of those skills that we've learned in the various classes. But yeah, to give you an idea, how many have heard or gone to the Valley Disaster Preparedness Fair? Tell a person sitting next to you to go. This will be our 7th annual Disaster Preparedness Fair. It's at Fire Station 87. Which is on Balboa, just south of Devonshire. It's 10124 Balboa Boulevard, if you want to write down the address. This year will be on September 27th, the last Saturday of September. Previously, we'd always held it the first Saturday of October, but it is a major religious holiday, Yom Kippur, that day, so we have moved it a week earlier. It's also National Preparedness Month. So we feel it'll probably fit in pretty well. Just to give you an idea, last year our attendance was about 1,500. And I didn't count the vendors and the support personnel and ones like us that are helping to put it together. So, in one idea, it is a huge event. It's the largest in the valley. We invite all sorts of emergency preparedness personnel, equipment, vendors. We do not sell anything. Everything is free. That includes food. We provide food. Parking is free. And the first 500 families that sign in and register that day get an EP starter kit, emergency preparedness starter kit, containing a lot of information, printed information, a lot of practical items, whistle, gloves, light stick, bandages, whatever we can afford to buy, because several neighborhood councils, 10 or 11, get together and contribute part of the money, which is your money, because neighborhood council is supported by the city of Los Angeles. And you pay the city of Los Angeles taxes, fees, also. So some of that comes back to the community, and that's one way to get a return on that investment. Generally, 11 or 10 to 2 is most likely our time. We moved it up a little bit earlier last year. It seemed to work pretty well. So come along, bring your family, everybody's invited. We've got stuff for kids, we've got pet preparedness, we've got Red Cross puppet show typically, the electric diorama for DWP that tells you why you should use that metal pruning pole to get the wires out of what's coming to the trees from coming from your pole. So it's a fantastic event. Also, pardon me? I heard? Anyway, so plan to put on your calendar. Like I said, invite your neighbors, friends, and it's a great opportunity, especially with the preparedness. A couple of other things to cover. Norm's class it's in the Lossfield Sheriff Station. It's in Agoura Hills. You think it's far, but it really isn't. It's like straight up the Ventura Freeway. Makes it very convenient. And that day, you can take the test, get a lunch, and learn how to take the test and how to pass it. It's multiple choice. We used to call it multiple guess. 35 questions. Just so you know, when you take some of the tests online, there is a pool of questions. I think the number is about 390 that they choose 35 from. And your neighbor's test is not going to have the same questions or in the same order as the one next to you. So if you really wanted to study, be absolutely sure, you got 390 questions to memorize. 25 or 35 at a time, and you can miss 9. So it's a pretty good deal. You don't have to take the test for them. There are organizations that offer the test at various times in various locations throughout. So the idea, if you miss the first Sunday and the next Sunday is, what radio do I need? But the following Sunday is, how do I program the thing? And each one of those offers the test in the morning. And there are other organizations, ham radio groups, that offer the tests around the city, kind of like search. You don't have to take his test. You can take anybody's test. You don't have to take a course to learn it. You can do it online. You can practice it yourself, as they have done. So it's pretty good there. When we talked about earlier with CERT and clearing out small fires, keep in mind that, like at the Northridge earthquake, and some of the other predictions, over 65 to 70% of the fires that are started will be electrical fires. They won't be gas fires. Northridge earthquake, apartment owner says, I'm an electrician, I'm going to turn on the power, I know what I'm doing. We say, don't. He does anyway. A towel had fallen onto an electric range that had been left on. Started a fire, burned another couple of apartments. So there's a lot of stuff you learn, a lot of effort to put the watch on for how to be prepared, and you can spread it with your neighbors as well. This may get a little difficult because I left my third hand at home, but part of the map your neighborhood, you'll get a brochure. First, let me explain. The course we're going giving this afternoon, SOS, is designed to help you understand how to arrange to have map your neighborhood presented in your neighborhood at yours or a neighbor's home. Okay? It's kind of like, you get your neighbors together, we'll help you do that. But we will come out with all the stuff we need and put on the class. We're not teaching you how to put on the class, we're teaching you how to get organized to hold the class. So it's kind of a difference there. So you don't have to worry about printing these things, getting them out, getting them available, doing all that stuff. It's DVD based, to where we'll show you a short video, there'll be a question, a period to talk to your neighbors, fill out information. The neat thing is that, who's got what? And there's a page here. Who's got the crowbars? Who has the generator? Who has the extension cords? Who has and knows how to use the chainsaw? This is not the time to get it out of the package and read step 1, read all the instructions carefully. And you would be surprised how many bring out tools they never used before because now it's a great time to use it. You don't want to do that. So this is the kind of thing that go over. It's basically 2 to 3 hours roughly. When you get neighbors together, it can take a little bit longer. That's the whole point. But as Linda had mentioned, the idea is it's neighbors helping neighbors. It's not relying on the fire department because they'll tell you they ain't coming. One of the hardest things they have to do at a disaster is to drive past the fire. And that's what they will do. Because just like with Red Cross and other organizations, to know how to deploy your resources, you have to know where the problems are. You have to know how big the problems are. So the first thing to do is what you basically call a windshield survey. Let's go by and look and see what's happening here, what's happening there, and report back to headquarters, and then figure out what to do. And by the way, when we say we spend about a third of our day in bed is about 8 hours, how many spent 8 hours in bed the last month? Okay, we got a lucky one. We'll have a prize for you. So, when you talk about emergency kits, it's not just for you at home, it's for the child in school, it's for your grandparents that come visit for a week every couple of months, it's for your car, and if you think you're going to get over the hill in a major earthquake in a couple of hours, forget about it. It is not going to happen. With the radios, GMRS might be a better way to go because you get more power. You can utilize repeaters instead of strictly line of sight. Ham radio is another much cheaper option. But in a major disaster, just like the community, it's going to be busy. We're going to be very busy. So that's why we drill, we practice. Yes, is anybody in the audience ham radio operator now? How many on the panel are ham radio operators? Gives you an idea. But it is a lot easier today than it used to be. There's friendly examiners. I'm one of them. Dan is another one that will help monitor the test, make sure it's legitimate, all that sort of stuff. You get your license electronically, post it to the FCC website generally within about a week. In the olden days, you didn't get it until it was mailed to you, since it was mailed by the federal government. A couple of months or so, you couldn't do anything until then. By the way, you can listen all you want without a license. Anything. Just can't transmit. That's the difference. I do also chair the Emergency Preparedness Committee of Lake Bellevue. I always say that because she's sitting right next to me. It's like routine, you get used to hearing it all the time. But it's right here and it's on my hat. Granada Hills North Neighborhood Council.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, and I feel serious saying that I was a Northridge. I love it, but I'm not. Our meetings are the second Tuesday evening, 7 p.m. It's in the neighborhood council office. You can also find it on the website. The address is 11139 Woodley Avenue. It's right next to Taco Bell and Kennedy High. And the shopping centers that used to have markets that don't anymore. That's one of ours. But anyway, you go through Lucy, you go through anybody. Any of us, it's kind of like talk to any of us to get a hold of any of us. That's how it works. So have a great day.
Hi, Bill. What time is it on Tuesday, the second Tuesday?
7 p.m., 7 to about 8:30, depends upon the speaker. You're free to leave any time. But some sessions can go on because they're very interesting. There's people asking a lot of questions. So it just depends on the topics. We have a huge range of topics. This one, the upcoming one, we expect to have one of the main facilitators from Emergency Management Department, City of LA. What do they do? How do they respond? Obviously, we've had CERT there. And as far as CERT is concerned, it is taught by LAFD in our area, different parts of the county.